Well, hello everybody. It's Dr. Drake 63 here again today to look at a classic, a timeless classic. What might that be? The Marlin 336 in 30-30. A beautiful gun. This particular one here features a walnut stock and a JM stamped barrel. We will talk about what that means shortly. And a little bit of my own handiwork here, where we had some fun. I can talk about that as well. But today, we're going to take a look at the Marlin 336W. 30-30 caliber. We're going to discuss that a little bit. It has been said that this rifle, more specifically, I should say, the 30-30 cartridge has taken more deer than any other caliber in the history of what we have here in these United States. I can't verify that, but I've heard that. Taking a look here, you can see the rifling is what's called micro groove. This particular rifle has seen duty. And she's a beauty. The Marlin 336 here on Dr. Drake 63. Let's check it out. You can see the 336 on the right, pictured with the 1895 on the left in both pictures. You can tell by the big loop. Here you can see that 50 yards with the open sights, we kill deer. And just to show you how good a sport she is, she will hang out with anybody. Nothing says fall to me like deer season, and nothing says deer season for those who climb up in trees and things of that nature like a 30-30 caliber. Co-host Chloe, as usual. I mentioned that this barrel was JM stamped, and basically for people that are pre-Remington folks who want a rifle that's made before Remington moved production or got involved, there you go. That's what a JM stamp looks like. Okay. Just some comments about the fit and finish of this particular firearm. This walnut finish that they feature is so flawless in its variations in color that it almost looks artificial. Obviously it's not. It's just that's the quality of the wood and the pattern of the wood. But for the longest time, it was something that just baffled me, that something that could look that perfect. Here's another example here. You come in. This is walnut. I think it's an American walnut. I think it takes well and holds well with putting checkering patterns in, obviously, and again, really looks nice over age. I left the buckhorn sights on. I left the hood on the front side on, and I like the way that sets up. Some people do not, but I'm a big fan of the way that sets up. I don't think I'd like it as much if this was a 200-yard gun, but this is pretty much a 50 to 150-yard gun anyway, and the ranges that it sees duty. And for that, I really like that, especially aids in low light. You can kind of get a look down there. And I always promised I'd never use my dog for a target, so we won't do that. But you can see with the white now with the backdrop how that lines up. This particular firearm is a favorite of my number 2 son. He enjoys shooting this firearm when we do go deer hunting. He's the one that sits in the stand. I'm a ground blind guy for Minnesota hunting anyway. But this has got its fair share of getting banged around and dinged around. You can kind of see here up and down tree stand ladders and the like. That's not a crack, it's just a scratch. But you get some dents here and there. Such a beautiful look on the receiver. I really like it. I enjoy shooting this gun. I admittedly don't shoot it enough. Here we have a little leatherworking project I did. I had first, on my 1895, put a cartridge type of carrier. And as you can see, I've got 4 30-30 rounds. These are the core locked. You can tell by that sloppy looking soft tip, which is fine. But basically, it's a two-piece affair, and it laces around the buttstock as such. It's got a little bit of cheek weld, not a bunch, just a little bit. I don't consider this a high recoil gun, not in the least. It's very lightweight, very easy to maneuver, and you can kind of see here, it's real easy to. I'm not going to do the John Wayne thing from True Grit though, so don't worry. As you can see, this has a very nice slim profile when you're carrying it. Very nice and lightweight. These things were the original assault rifle, if you really think about it. But the main thing here, cocking handle. Really get up tight here against your cheek. Nice weld. There are some definite advantages if you're looking to fire more than one round and while hunting to a firearm like this over a bolt gun. If you need follow-up shots, for example, perhaps you're shooting an antelope or a running type of game where you missed with the first shot, but you don't want to give up. How quick can you take another shot? The nice thing about this is I'm not taking my eye off the target in order to work the action and advance the next round. That's a huge time advantage. That's crazy. I mean, you just can't work a bolt action that fast unless you're, some kind of trick performer. And when it comes to this, I certainly am not a trick performer at all. So, really enjoy this firearm. It's great. I have had this for a number of years and just flat out enjoy it. And even though I don't use it hunting a lot, like I said, I have a son that does. This is the one that goes with him every year, and I suspect it's going to go with him when I go because it's kind of special to him. But I love this. I love this rifle. Absolutely love this rifle. If you're going to get a lever action buying a 336, either one that's of the older date or one that's coming off the line right now today, I don't believe you can go wrong. Here's the thing. There's been a lot of complaints and a lot of talk about Marlin products after the Remington acquisition of Marlin. And I totally understand a lot of that. I mean, there were some great hunting rifles, the XL series, for example, and hunting calibers that were discontinued by Remington. And what's in its place? Well, the 783 is a darn good rifle, and it basically is a Marlin XL series rifle that has a Savage adjustable barrel nut on it. So there is that. But as far as the lever actions, a lot of people complained about quality and not as good and all these kind of things. And when we talk about comparing, this is what they're comparing it to. They're comparing it to a JM stamped, what's called pre-Remlin, which is the, you get it, Marlin Remlin. It's the pre-Remlin situation, and oh great, that's the ones you got to have. And for a long time, there are a lot of complaints about quality. All I know is I think they're done. I think that they've got their act together. They're producing good rifles right now. As evidenced by the 1895 big loop lever action that I have, It's put together great. It's accurate as can be. Great gun. And people I know that are buying the 336s now are also giving similar reports. And there's some more versions available. The laminate version is a very attractive look. You can, of course, get them in the big loops, which is something I would recommend if you're going to hunt anywhere that's cold. Strongly recommend. Ballistically speaking, the 30-30 is very similar to an AK round. Here's an example of this is out of focus. This is the Remington core locked. They have the whole series in core locked. These are hunting bullets that have a soft lead tip, and they do a good job. I've taken deer with them. This particular one, you can see it has a bit of a rimmed cartridge. They're all like that, obviously. It's got the neck down, which is farther down than what you see on most cartridges that have a neck down. Reminds me of some of the Italian calibers and French calibers you see from early in the 20th century. Anyway, in looking at this, this is going to have about 2,200 to 2,300 feet per second out of the muzzle. This particular one is a 170 grain projectile. Here's the Hornady, a little bit faster, 2,400 feet per second. It's a 160 grain projectile. One advantage to this, you'll notice in the comparison side by side, on your left is your Hornady and on your right is your core locked. Core locked bullet, because you were afraid of having a point hit one of these primers in the tube magazine as it's loading and cycling. You had to blunt it, basically. And you see that with a lot of the cast bullets too. They're just flat on the front. Well, Hornady came up with this ballistic tip, so you've got the hollow point, you've got the tip, which protects the primer in front of it and also lets you have a bit more of a ballistic shape to the bullet. I find the Hornady to be a lot more accurate. I also have been told by a number of hunters that it does not open up and expand as well as some of the others, including the Remington core locks. So, in lieu of doing a takedown video, which is typically boring and not a lot of fun and pretty much never needed, I'm going to show you a little bit just by taking a peek inside. You can see your bore, and there's not a lot going on in front of it. You've got your, what you see right there is the extractor pin, or the extractor arm that comes off of this bolt. This bolt is manipulated simply by that motion right there. So you work the bolt forward by closing the handle, and then simply open it up. So what I do for keeping it clean is I will give this a rub down with CLP. Make sure that it's going to be lubed, not wet. And then cleaning out the chamber. Real easy to do. Just go in there with a rag and get any residue, and then I'll go in with a second rag and again with a little bit of CLP, and then easy. You just drop a bore snake in there, and there you go. Looking at this magazine here, this is spring loaded. There's no need to ever do anything, and I'll shut this so we can look at it. It's spring loaded. The magazine tube is right here. So that's going to hold 6 plus one more shot. So that's going to be all you need unless you just don't plain know how to shoot. But it's a real simple design. A bolt with an extractor. As you do that, you've got a spring down here which is going to advance the next bullet, and we're off to the races. So pretty cool system. There's a lot of talk out there recently in terms of looking at, what if the U.S. Army had spent their time and efforts on these instead of single action rolling block type firearms after the Civil War is beyond me, but this would have made a difference at the Battle of Little Bighorn for our buddy General Custer. It sure did for the folks he was facing there. For those of you interested in this leatherworking, this is a matching strap. Matching in that I've used the same design and color scheme up the middle here as I used on this ammo carrier. But was able to just put this little medallion in here. I just thought it was cool and kind of Old West. But was really fun to do this with a firearm like this. I'm not a guy that's into having show pony type rifles, but this one's just an elegant looking state of affair no matter what I do with it. So again, fun with leatherwork, and I didn't have to do this leatherwork as part of a mental hospital visit, just so you know, folks. The ascent or increase in popularity of rifles such as the AR-15 and other black rifles, as so called, I think is not led at all to the demise to rifles like this. I think they're less popular among hunters than probably they've ever been. But thanking cowboy action shooting and the increase in that popularity has kind of kept these things going. Certain states where you can't use semi-auto, these are going to be more popular. Again, cowboy action, folks that just want to have a truck gun. These are nice, accurate rifles that are good for medium-sized game, protecting yourself from a mountain lion for sure, taking out coyotes, things of that nature. These work great, and of course deer hunting. So these are great rifles. I hope that the choices will continue to be there, because I think folks really enjoy these, and I know I do, and I'd hate to see them be something that is just an old folks rifle, because they're so handy and they're good for so much more. Anyway, I've enjoyed this one. I probably at some point am going to get the laminate new version with a big loop lever, just because that's a different firearm into its own self, and I think I'd like to have that. I'd like to conclude by telling you about a page on Facebook, and it's called Marlin Rifle Owners, at Marlin Rifles on Facebook. We've got a current membership of, not membership, but followers of well over 3,000 folks. They're from around the world, and they have some really interesting comments, and we see some really neat posts. So if you're into lever actions, if you're into Marlins, suggest you check out Marlin Rifle Owners on Facebook. You do not need to join. Drop in for a visit and say hi. Again, this is Dave Drake, Dr. Drake 63, saying goodbye for now. Have a great day.
Oh,